All right, the watch list for Tuesday, February 16th. Monday was a holiday. The market was closed. A really nice double bottom here on the SPY. Very strong close on Friday. And I saw something on Twitter where the Japan's Nikkei index, I hope I'm saying that right, is up like 1,000 points on Monday. Um, and the futures are way up last I saw for the S&P. With the gap up, I do love this. The fact that we bounced off of recent lows again. I hate gaps up though, especially in a weak overall market. So keep that in mind. A lot of times when I have stocks on bounce watch, but then we get a gap up, it takes the wind out of the sails of my bounce setup. So keep that in mind. So really, Tuesday morning is probably going to be individual stocks that I can find a nice gap on news and that sort of thing. All right. So with that in mind. My watch list, I've got, I think, 3 bounce plays on watch, which one of them is SIEN, gapped up about a week ago, straight down for 5 days. So that one goes on bounce watch. BECN has been on bounce watch for several days. Haven't had a trade in it yet. I really like it if it gets down to 32, but we still haven't triggered for a bounce play on an intraday level, on an intraday setup yet. So it just, right now, it's still back on watch. All right. And then DDD on bounce watch is a little bit different looking than the others. This one had a nice recent high here about a week ago of $9.40. Then it gapped up on earnings and hit $9.20. Now we've got, that day closed red on Friday as well. This is a pretty good setup for a turn back up. So watching DDD for some upside on Tuesday. FDC had a nice bounce. We had this on bounce watch on Friday. I never took a trade in it, but it did have a nice bounce on Friday. And if you go to 15-minute candles here, after the initial pop, it never broke outside of its opening 15-minute range. So that's why I never got a trade in it. I can switch to 5-minute candles and show you. This was the opening 5-minute candle. When that happens, and then it stays in that 5-minute range all day, there's just nothing I can do with it. So it never gave me any kind of low-risk trade. But I do want to watch it, okay? So I do like it over this long sideways move. I guess the intraday high, not counting the initial pop at the open, was like 954. So if this gets up into the 960s, it might be worth watching for a continuation of that bounce. All right, and then NYMX just still inside the range of this big pop about a week ago. Just just 3 inside days now. So looking for an upside breakout in that one. Weight Watchers, well, not in love with this one. Let's go back to the daily real quick. But it is kind of tagging along sideways here with the 200-day. And it does get nice moves at times. There was a huge move here, a couple quiet days, another huge move here, but then came back down. So just keep this one on your radar. If you can catch the beginning of one of those moves, you can have a nice trade, especially if you got the squawks going and maybe you catch news on it or something. You already know what the chart looks like. You might get in a nice trade. DVN, an energy play, looks like a double bottom here. And I like the fact that it's kind of got a 2-day high right at, let's see, Friday's high was 2182, Thursday's high 2160. So I'm going to like this. Let's go to 15s real quick here. I like it up over Friday's high, up over 2182. Especially if oil continues to bounce. Here's the ETF for US for oil. USO is what I use. That looks a lot like DVN, which makes sense because DVN an energy play. But this one's got some room to bounce if oil continues. And it's not a fast mover, so it's one of what feels like a safer play in the energy space. DATA, I still think a lot of times you get a massive sell-off, gap down. A lot of times, a week or no, let me say that a month later, you look back and say, "Man, why wasn't I buying this on this huge gap down?" But right now, we're just sideways. The first bounce went to 41.08. It went to 41.20 on Friday. So I like it up over Friday's high, but let's keep our eyes on DATA, especially if there's some strength in the market. Then a couple nice-looking flags that I like. TMST. Big volume here, and it's just kind of flagging. I don't have the lines drawn there. I can get this one out of the way. But you can picture a trend line right there. You can picture that flag. So up in this area here, this one might really take off. So keep TMST is probably my favorite going into Tuesday. And then SUPN, I also like the daily here. Big pop and another kind of flag. Closed near its highs on Friday. So those are 2 that I really like for potential longs. But if they're going to gap up with the overall market, that changes everything. Hopefully we'll find a nice news play in the morning to play as a gapper as well, all right? I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not a big fan of these weekend watch lists because when you have 2 or in this case 3 days where the market's closed, you almost always get a gap in the most recent environment. So you can spend hours looking at charts and then the whole market gaps way up or gaps way down, and you almost feel like you wasted your time. So I really need Tuesday to get underway. We'll find some nice trades on an intraday basis, and then we'll have new setups for the rest of the week. All right. So that's generally the way I look at it. All right. Have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.